The war between humans and the Varelian Empire had ended only 5 years ago. Peace was thin like glass that could break at any time. To protect this fragile peace, the Human Alliance sent a small team of soldiers to the Varelian capital. One of them was Sergeant Kane Rylos, a strong but quiet man who had seen too much war. Kane had been chosen for a special job bodyguard to the Varelian princess, Lyra Valsera. Princess Lyra was young, only 18 in human years, and known for her sharp tongue. She believed Varelians were the most powerful and beautiful race in the galaxy. She thought humans were weak, ugly, and backward. She didn't hide her opinions. Kane arrived at the silver gates of the royal palace with his armor shining under. The two sons? The Varelian guards looked at him with cold eyes. They hated humans, but obeyed the treaty. Inside, the palace was like a dream. The walls were made of glowing crystal. Strange plants floated in the air. Servants bowed as Kane walked by, but their eyes were full of disgust. Then came the grand hall. Princess Lyra stood at the center, surrounded by nobles. Her dress sparkled like stars. Her skin was smooth and blue. Her long white hair flowed like water. She was beautiful, even by human standards. But her beauty was nothing compared to her pride. "So this is my protector," she said loudly. Human. Kane stood still, silent. Lyra walked toward him, circling like a cat. "Tell me, soldier, is that armor because your skin is too soft, or are you just scared?" She laughed. The nobles laughed with her. Kane's face stayed calm. He gave a short bow. "I am here to protect you, princess. Nothing more." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "You don't talk much, but your brain is as simple as your armor." Kane said nothing. He had faced worse insults during the war. He knew arguing with her would only make things worse. Lyra stepped closer. "Tell me, do all humans smell like old metal?" The nobles laughed louder. Kane turned his head and looked straight into her eyes. "When danger comes, princess, it will not care what I smell like. Only whether I can keep you alive." That shut them up. Lyra's smile faded for a moment, but she quickly covered it with another laugh. "We'll see." Later that evening, Kane was taken to his room. Simple, but clean. Removed his helmet, revealing short black hair, a scar across his jaw, and deep brown eyes that had seen war, death, and betrayal. He sat quietly, polishing his weapon. He knew this job would not be easy. The princess was proud, and the court was full of snakes. A soft knock came at the door. Before Kane could answer, the door opened. It was Lyra. She entered without permission, her dress flowing behind her. "I was curious," she said. "Do you sleep in your armor too? Or do humans have soft beds where you come from?" Kane stood up. "Princess, this is not the time." Ignored him and looked around the room. Plain, like a storage room, but I suppose that's fitting. Kane sighed. "I am here to protect you, not entertain you." Lyra smiled again. "Protect me. From what? We are at peace. The war is over." "There is no danger here." Kane looked her in the eyes. "Danger hides in peace. That is why I stay ready." Lyra laughed. So dramatic. Maybe humans love war so much, they can't live without fear. She stepped closer. "You know, I expected someone. Taller, stronger. You don't even look like a soldier." Kane didn't move. He looked tired, not weak. Lyra frowned. "You really don't speak unless you have to, do you?" Then something unexpected happened. Kane reached up and removed his chest armor. One by one, he took off the heavy pieces' shoulders, forearms. Boots and Tilly stood in just his simple black uniform. Lyra stepped back. Surprised, without a word, Kane walked past her, opened the door and left the room. Lyra stood frozen. One had ever walked away from her before. Everyone bowed, obeyed, flattered. Even her father, the Emperor, treated her like glass. But this human. He didn't even say goodbye. She felt heat in her chest. Was it anger? Or something else? Later that night, Lyra couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to Kane. He removed his armor. Was it pride? Was it a message? She wrapped herself in a cloak and left her chamber. Quietly, she moved through the palace halls. No one stopped her. She found herself outside Kane's quarters. The door was slightly open. Light spilled out. Inside, Kane was training. His body moved like a machine fast. Strong, perfect. He punched the air, dodged invisible blows, kicked with force that could break stone. Lyra's eyes widened. The muscles under his shirt, his arms were covered with old scars. But it was not just strength, he moved with control. It's like a warrior who had survived 100 battles. She stepped closer. Then she heard him speak, not to her, but to another. A soldier who had joined him. "I still see him in my dreams," Kane said quietly. "My brother. He saved me during the Battle of Threx Prime. I wear this armor to honor him, not to hide." Lyra felt her throat tighten. She turned and left before they saw her. Back in her room, Lyra sat in silence. The human was not what she thought. He was not soft. He was not weak. He was something else. Cliffhanger: the next morning, as the sun rose over the crystal towers. A strange humming sound echoed through the city. Then a loud explosion shook the palace walls. Alarms blared. Guards shouted. Something was wrong. Lyra ran to the window and saw smoke rising from the outer gates. Suddenly, her door burst open. Kane stood there, no armor, just his black uniform, and a weapon in his hand. "Stay behind me, princess," he said. Lyra didn't argue. For the first time, she didn't see a soldier in armor. She saw a protector. The palace was on fire. Thick black smoke rose in the sky. Bright orange flames spread across the eastern towers. Alarms echoed through the air. Servants ran in every direction, screaming in fear. Elite Varelian guards rushed to their posts. But no one seemed to know what was happening. Princess Lyra stood frozen by the window. Her heart pounded. She had never seen real violence. Not like this. The war ended when she was still a child. Spouse had always been safe, untouchable. But now it was. The door burst open. Kane stood there, no armor, just a black uniform. Stretched across his battle-worn body, his face was calm, focused. "Princess," he said, stepping forward, "you need to move." "Now?" Lyra didn't argue. She followed him. They moved through the marble halls quickly. Kane kept his body close to hers, eyes scanning every shadow. He didn't speak much, only giving short commands. Left. Stay. Low. Quiet. Lyra obeyed without thinking. This was no longer a game. This was real. They turned a corner and saw a group of guards fighting masked intruders. The attackers wore dark suits and used advanced energy weapons. The Varelian guards were strong but unprepared. One by one they fell. Kane grabbed Lyra's arm and pulled her into a side hallway. "We can't go that way," he said. "Who are they?" Lyra asked, breathless. "I don't know," Kane said. "But they're not from outside the planet. Their tech is too familiar. This looks like an inside job." Lyra's eyes widened. "A betrayal?" Kane didn't answer. He just moved faster. They reached a locked steel door. Kane placed his hand on the panel, but it didn't open. Lyra stepped forward. "This is a maintenance path. Only royalty can access it." She pressed her hand on the scanner. The door opened. With a hiss, inside was a dark, narrow tunnel, lit only by soft green lights. Kane looked at her. "How did you know about this?" "I used to sneak out of the palace when I was younger," Lyra said, trying to smile. "Got caught many times." Kane gave a short nod. "Good. Keep leading." They moved through the tunnels, their footsteps. Quiet. Lyra's heart slowed down just a little. The danger felt distant here. For now, after a while, they reached a small maintenance room. It had a table, a few chairs, and some old storage boxes. Kane checked the corners, locked the door, and finally allowed them to rest. Lyra sat down heavily. Her dress was dirty, her hair was messy. She looked nothing like a princess now. Kane stood with his back to her, checking his weapon. "Do you ever get scared?" she asked quietly. He didn't turn. "Of course you don't look scared. That's because fear doesn't help. Focus does." Lyra looked at him for a long time. "I saw you last night training. And You talking about your brother? Kane didn't speak for a moment, then he nodded. He died protecting others. That's why I do what I do. I don't wear armor for glory. I wear it because I've seen what happens when you're not ready. Lyra swallowed. I thought you were just another human soldier. But you're more than that, he finally turned to face her. You're more than just a spoiled princess, too, he said. She blushed, but said nothing. Hours passed. The sounds of battle slowly faded. Kane turned on a small comm device, tried to contact the human embassy. Static, no signal. Something's jamming it, he said. So what do we do now? Lyra asked. We find out who's behind this, Kane said. And we survive. Lyra hesitated. There's someone who might know more. My father's chief advisor, Lord Tavik, he always hated humans. He wanted the war to continue. If anyone would betray us, it's him. Kane nodded slowly. Then we find him. They left the tunnel and moved toward the Royal Library, one of the secret places Lyra used to hide as a child. As they entered, the ancient hall, filled with floating books and glowing tablets, heard voices. Kane pulled Lyra behind a pillar. Two men were speaking near the archive controls. One of them was Lord Tavik. You said she'd be gone by now, Tavik growled. A strange voice replied. She escaped with the human. But they won't get far, Tavik hissed. We should have killed him during the peace meeting. The other man laughed. You Varelians always talk too much. Humans act. That's why you're losing. Lyra gasped. The traitor wasn't just Varelian. He was working with someone outside. Maybe a criminal group, maybe worse. Kane pulled her back. We need proof, he whispered. They crept along the wall until Kane found a security console. He inserted a small device and copied the conversation, then suddenly clang. Lyra knocked over a crystal tablet by accident. The sound echoed through the hall. Who's there? Tavik shouted. Kane grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. Laser fire hit the walls behind them. They dodged and weaved through the library, Kane shielding Lyra with his body. They jumped through a side door and into the upper halls. More alarms blared. The whole palace was now under lockdown. They stopped to catch their breath near a high balcony. From there, they could see the city. Fires still burned in the distance. The Royal Guard Tower had fallen. Lyra turned to Kane. We have to get out of the palace. We need to reach the human outpost. There's a supply hangar, too. Levels down, Kane said. I saw it on the map. We'll take a scout skimmer. Do you trust me? Lyra asked. Kane looked at her. Now I do. They moved, again fighting their way past two patrols. Kane took the lead, using only a small energy blade and a sidearm. He moved like water fast, quiet, deadly. Lyra stayed close, doing her best. To be brave, at one point, a blast knocked Kane back. His shirt was torn. Blood ran down his arm. Are you okay? She cried. I've had worse, he said, standing back up. She tore part of her dress and wrapped his wound. He gave her a thankful look. When they finally reached the hangar, a small scout skimmer was still powered. Kane helped Lyra climb in. He took the pilot's seat and started the engine. As the skimmer lifted into the air, Lyra looked at him. You saved my life. Kane shook his head. You saved your own. I just made sure you got the chance. She smiled for the first time in hours. Then her comm device beeped. A message. She read it slowly. Her face turned pale. What is it? Kane asked. My father. He's missing. The council declared him unfit to rule. He said I'm too young. Tavik has taken power. Kane's jaw clenched. Then they've turned the whole empire into a lie. Lyra looked at him, eyes burning. Then let's show them the truth. The small scout skimmer flew fast through the sky, cutting between tall crystal towers and black smoke rising from the city. Kane kept his hands steady on the controls, eyes sharp. Lyra sat beside him, holding on to the seat as wind whipped through. Her cloak. The city below them looked broken. Fires burned. Buildings had holes. Civilians ran in panic while security drones floated aimlessly, unable to keep order. This is no small rebellion, Kane said. It's organized. Lyra nodded, her voice low. Tavik's planning must have started months ago, maybe years. Kane looked at her. He used the piece as a cover, waited for the right moment. Lyra clenched her fists. "You made me look like a fool. I mocked you, but I didn't see the real danger standing right beside me the whole time." Kane didn't smile. He was focused. "We need to get to the human outpost," he said. "It'll help us plan a counterstrike. It's 2 clicks. South of here," Lyra said. "Past the storm valley." Suddenly, alarms beeped on the skimmer's screen. 3 enemy fighters were behind them, small, fast ships. They fired red plasma bolts that zipped past them, barely missing the wings. They're locking on. Lyra shouted. Kane jerked the skimmer left, then dove low through the ruined towers. The enemy ships followed, but Kane knew the city's layout. Better than they did, he flew under a broken bridge, then spun upward, avoiding another blast. The skimmer shook from the pressure, but Kane stayed calm. "Hang on," he said. He tapped a button. Small flares shot out behind the ship. One of the enemy fighters got confused and crashed into a tower. "Nice shot," Lyra said. "Not done yet," Kane muttered. The other 2 kept chasing. Lyra looked at the dashboard. "There's an energy spike ahead in Old Shield Dome near the mountains." "I see it," Kane said. He pulled the skimmer higher, flying straight toward the energy field. At the last moment, he dropped altitude. The enemy ships tried to follow, but their wings clipped the edge of the shield, sending sparks everywhere. Boom! They exploded in mid-dash air. Lyra laughed in shock. "You're insane." Kane smirked. "No, I'm human." They landed outside the human outpost, an old military base with gray steel walls and auto turrets. Human soldiers rushed forward, guns raised. When they saw Kane and the princess, they quickly stood down. A commander walked over. His name tag read Commander Voss. "Kane, thought you were dead," Voss said. "Who's the guest?" "She's not a guest," Kane replied. "She's the key to saving this entire planet." Lyra stepped forward. "I'm Princess Lyra. Valsera, my father has been taken. Our empire has been betrayed. I need your help." Voss looked surprised. Then he nodded. "Come inside." Inside the command room, Lyra showed them the recording Kane had taken from the library. Tavik's voice played on the screen, along with his secret partner, mercenary leader named Dravis, known for selling weapons and soldiers to the highest bidder. "Dravis has an army of mercenaries in the outer systems," Kane explained. "If they take the throne, peace ends." Lyra pointed to a blinking part of the map. "That's the old prison block. It's deep underground. Tavik may be holding my father there." Kane turned to Voss. "We need to get in. Quietly." Voss crossed his arms. "You'll need a small team. 5, maybe 6 at most. No heavy weapons. Can't alert the palace or it'll be a trap." "I'll go," Kane said. "So will I," Lyra added. Voss looked at her. "With respect, Princess, it's too dangerous." Lyra's voice was firm. "It's my throne. I'm not hiding again." Kane gave Voss a nod. "She can handle it." Voss sighed. "You're gonna take this." He handed them both small devices. Cloaking fields. Limited time, use them wisely. At night, under the cover of darkness, the small team flew a silent transport toward the prison block. The entrance was hidden beneath a hollow mountain, guarded by heavy cannons and scanning towers. They landed 2 miles away and walked the rest on foot. The air was cold. The path was rough. But Lyra didn't complain. Kane led the way, checking. For mines, sensors, traps. Finally, they reached a narrow vent shaft. "This leads into the main cells," Lyra whispered. "I remember from a tour when I was young." Climbed inside, crawling for 20 minutes until they dropped into a dark hallway. The walls were wet. The lights flickered. Kane pulled his sidearm. The others followed quietly. Suddenly, they heard a voice. "Help. Please." Lyra moved toward the sound. In one of the cells, behind a force field, was her father, the Emperor. He looked thin, beaten, but alive. "Father," Lyra cried. He looked up. His eyes filled with tears. "Lyra, you're alive." Kane deactivated the force field and helped him out. The Emperor leaned on him weakly. "We need to go," now Kane said. But before they could turn, clang. Doors. slammed shut around them. Red lights flashed. Tavik's voice came through the intercom. "Clever girl, Lyra, but not clever enough." Kane aimed at the door. "Don't waste bullets," Tavik said. "You won't get out alive." The room started to fill with gas. Kane handed Lyra a mask. "Put this on your father. What about you?" she asked. "I have mine." The gas filled the room fast. The team struggled, but then, boom. The wall behind them exploded. A human rescue squad had broken in, sent by Commander Voss after they lost signal. "Move, move." A soldier shouted. Kane grabbed the Emperor and ran. They climbed into the transport and flew into the sky as the prison exploded behind them. Back at the outpost, medics treated the Emperor. Lyra sat beside Kane. "You came for me," she said. "I said I would," he replied. She looked at him, her voice soft. "Do you believe I can lead?" Kane didn't hesitate. "I do." Lyra nodded. "Then help me take back my throne." Cliffhanger. The next day, a message spread across the stars. A message sent by Tavik. He declared himself the new ruler of the Varelian Empire. He blamed humans for the attack on the palace. He offered a reward for the capture of Princess Lyra and the traitor, Kane. Every bounty hunter in the galaxy now wanted them dead. And behind Tavik, in the shadows, stood Dravis, smiling. The sun rose over the mountains, casting golden light across the human outpost. But there was no peace. The outpost was preparing for war. Soldiers carried weapons. Ships were being loaded. Everyone moved with purpose. In the command room, a large holoscreen showed the galaxy map. Red dots marked danger zones. Blue ones showed what little safe ground remained. Lyra stood beside Kane, her arms crossed. Eyes focused. A new bounty had been placed on her head. 10 million credits, and on Kane's 15 million. "Congratulations," Kane said dryly. "You're now more expensive than a royal crown." Lyra smiled a little. "And you're worth more." "Than me." "Not surprised," he said. "I eat more." Commander Voss entered the room with a serious face. "Tavik's message spread fast," he said. "He's got bounty hunters from 4 systems heading this way." "How long until they find us?" Lyra asked. 2 days, maybe less. "We need to move." "We'll go to Varelia Prime," she said. Voss raised an eyebrow. "The capital? It's suicide." "No," Kane said. "It's smart." Voss looked between them. "Explain." "If we go underground, we'll be hunted forever," Lyra said. "But if we take back the Capital 11, just the throne room, then we send our own message." "A message of truth," Kane added. With the Emperor by her side, Voss sighed. "We can get you there, but no army, just a small team." Kane nodded. "That's all we need." That night, the Emperor sat alone in the medical wing. Looked old now, weak from the poison Tavik used on him. Lyra sat beside him. "You were right about me," she said softly. "I didn't understand the world. I thought power meant standing above others, but it doesn't." The Emperor placed his hand on hers. "Real power is not how loud you speak, it's how well others listen when you do." Lyra's eyes grew wet. "You still believe I can lead?" He nodded slowly. "Especially now." She leaned forward and hugged him. For the first time in years. Early next morning, the strike team prepared for launch. Kane checked his weapons. Light rifle. Blade. No armor, just his usual black uniform. Lyra wore a new suit sleek. Dark, made for speed and protection. It wasn't royal. It was real. She tied her long white hair back and placed a small silver pin on her chest, the symbol of the royal family. "This time," she said, "I go not as a princess, but as a leader." Kane smiled. "Then let's win your empire back." Ship flew through a secret route. No patrols. No satellites. They landed at an old sewer gate beneath the capital city. The tunnels were dark and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling. The smell of rust and time filled the air. Kane led the way with a wrist light. Lyra followed, flanked by 2 loyal human soldiers, Juno and Bren. Juno was fast and quiet. Bren was strong and funny. They trusted Cain like a brother. After an hour, they reached a metal ladder. It led up to a maintenance door beneath the palace. "This is it," Cain whispered. Juno climbed up and checked. Clear. They entered a long hallway, once used by workers. Now it was silent. They moved carefully. Passing old machines and broken statues, suddenly a security drone floated around the corner. Cain acted fast. One shot, the drone dropped. "Too loud," Lyra said. "Too late," Cain replied. More drones appeared. They started running. Lasers flew through the hallway. Sparks flew. Juno threw a smoke bomb. Bryn pushed a crate to block the way. They made it to the next door and sealed it behind them. Cain looked around. "We're in the old throne gallery," Lyra gasped. This place was sealed years ago. The room was filled with old paintings of past rulers. Dust covered everything, but ahead was the final passage to the main throne chamber. Juno checked the door. "It's locked," she said. Lyra stepped forward and placed her hand on the royal scanner. Beep. The door opened. Inside the throne chamber, Tavik was giving a speech to a room full of nobles. He stood beside the empty throne, wearing royal robes, a smug smile on his face. "And so, with the emperor gone, we must move forward. As your new leader, I will bang." The door burst open. Smoke filled the chamber, and out stepped Princess Lyra, standing tall, strong, fearless, with Cain beside her. The nobles gasped. Sighs widened. "Impossible." Lyra raised her voice. "I am not dead. I have returned. I bring the truth." Cain stepped forward and activated a whole-dash projector. It played the secret recording of Tavik and Dravis planning the attack, poisoning the emperor, blaming humans. The room fell silent. Some nobles looked away in shame. Others stared in anger. "You betrayed our people," Lyra said. "You caused chaos. And you used our hatred of humans to hide your crimes." Tavik pulled a weapon. "No one will believe you." Cain stepped in front of her. "Then shoot me." Tavik hesitated. "I should have killed you when I had the chance," he growled. "You still can't," Cain said calmly.
Because
"Deep down you're afraid." Tavik screamed and fired. Cain moved fast.
out.
He blocked the shot with his blade, then tackled Tavik to the ground. They fought hard, blade against blade, hand against hand. Lyra watched with wide eyes as Cain dodged, countered, struck, then crack. He disarmed Tavik and pointed his weapon at him. "It's over," Cain said. Lyra stepped forward. "No, it's just beginning." She turned to the nobles. "Let it be known I take back the throne, not for power, but for peace." The doors opened again. The emperor entered, weak but alive. He looked at everyone. "My daughter speaks with my voice. Follow her, and you follow me." The room bowed. Lyra climbed the steps and sat on the throne for the first time. Cain stood beside her, not as a bodyguard, but as a symbol of what she now stood for. Later, in the royal garden, Lyra and Cain walked alone. The stars above were bright. "Everything is different now," she said, double quotes. "Yes," Cain replied. "You could return to Earth. You've done your job." He looked at her. "I could." She smiled. "But you won't, will you?" Cain shook his head. "Not yet." She looked at him softly. "Why?" "'Cause you still need me," he said. Lyra nodded. "Not as a guard." "No," he said. "Someone who reminds you what it means to fight." She placed her hand on his. "Stay, Cain." He didn't need to answer. He already had. Cliffhanger, in the shadows of a far-off planet. Dravis watched the news feed of Lyra's return. He crushed a glass in his hand. So the human lived. Behind him, more mercenaries gathered. Dravis smiled darkly. "Then it's time we bring war to their doorstep." 3 days had passed since Princess Lyra took back the throne. The palace was quiet again. The fire was gone. The traitors were arrested. Tavik was sent to the far prison moons, never to return. The emperor, still weak, remained in the medical wing, proud of his daughter's victory, but peace was not yet secure. New danger was rising. From the edge of the galaxy, the warlord Dravis was gathering an army. He wanted revenge, and he had enough ships and soldiers to destroy 100 cities inside the royal war chamber. Lyra stood before a group of generals. Both Varelian and human. Kane stood beside her, calm and ready as always. The screen showed a red wave moving toward Varelia Prime. "Dravis is coming," said General Turin. 3 fleets, full strength. Commander Voss nodded. "He won't stop. He wants the throne." "I'll never have it," Lyra said firmly. "But your army is still weak," Terran warned. "Many are still loyal to Tavik's lies." Kane stepped forward. "Then let them see the truth, not from above, but from beside them." "What do you mean?" Lyra asked. Kane looked at her. "You said it yourself. You're not just a princess. You're a leader. Stand on the battlefield with your people." The room fell silent. Then Lyra gave a small nod. "I will." Next day, a massive citywide broadcast was sent to every screen, every device, every corner of the Varelian Empire. It showed Princess Lyra, standing in a plain uniform, no crown, no throne, behind her only the stars. She spoke clearly. I'm not the same girl I was before. I mocked those who I now call brothers. I laughed at strength because I didn't understand it, but I have changed. I've seen what true courage looks like." She paused, then looked directly at the camera. "And I will not run. I will not hide. I will stand beside you on the battlefield. And together, we will protect our home not just from Dravis, but from the fear that let him grow strong." People across the Empire watched in silence. Some cried, some saluted. All listened that night. Kane and Lyra sat on a rooftop, looking at the stars. "Did you mean all of it?" Kane asked. "Every word," she said. "I'm done being protected. Now, I protect others." Kane looked at her with quiet respect. Lyra turned to him. "Will you fight with me one last time?" Kane smiled. "Always." The next morning, the army stood ready outside the capital. Humans and Varelians stood side by side, once enemies, now united. Lyra walked among them, not in a golden carriage, but on foot. She shook hands. She thanked soldiers by name. She carried no weapon, only the royal family's banner on her back. Kane stood with his own team, Juno, Bren, and others who had fought beside him before. Above them, the sky turned dark. Dravis's fleet arrived. Black ships covered the clouds. Dropships fell like burning stars. Explosions echoed in the distance. The battle had begun. The first wave came fast. Mercenaries in thick armor rushed across the fields. Tanks rolled over the hills. Drones flew in swarms. But Lyra's army stood strong. Humans fired with sharp aim. Varelian soldiers moved with speed and grace. Kane led a strike team that cut through enemy lines. Its blade moved like light, slicing through machines. Bren carried a heavy launcher, blasting tanks to pieces. Juno snuck behind enemy ranks and planted traps. Lyra stayed close to the front line, helping injured soldiers, boosting morale. "Fight for your families," she cried. "Fight for peace." Suddenly, a massive dropship landed near the palace. Gates? The doors opened. Dr. Ava stepped out. He was huge, tall, as 2 men with metal arms and dark red eyes. His armor looked like a beast. He laughed. "So this is the little princess I was told about," he said, walking forward. Kane stepped. In front of Lyra, Dravis sneered. "Ah, the human. I've heard stories about you. And you know how this ends?" Kane said, raising his blade. Dravis grinned. "With your bones at my feet." He rushed forward. Kane met him head-on. The clash shook the ground. Steel hit steel. Sparks flew. Kane dodged a punch, landed a hit on Dravis's side. Dravis roared and grabbed Kane, throwing him through a wall. Lyra gasped. "Kane." Kane pulled himself up, blood on his face, but still standing. He walked back into the fight. "I've had worse," he said. Dravis roared again and charged. Kane jumped aside and slashed at his leg. Dravis fell to one knee. Lyra saw her chance. She ran forward and stabbed a power rod into Dravis's back, the kind to disable machines. Electricity shot through his body. He screamed and fell. Kane walked over, breathing hard, still standing. He said. Lyra looked at him, eyes shining. So, AM1. With Dravis defeated, the rest of the mercenary army fell apart. Many surrendered. Others fled. The city cheered. The sky was clear again. Later, in the Grand Palace, a new ceremony was held. This time it was not just for royalty, but for unity. Humans and Varelians filled the hall. Lyra stood on the steps, wearing a new robe not of gold, but of silver and blue, colors of peace. Beside her stood Kane, dressed not as a soldier, but as a citizen of the new empire. The emperor placed a crown on her head, lightweight, simple. Then he stepped back. Lyra raised her voice. Today, we do not celebrate a throne. We celebrate a future where no one is above others, where all races are equal, where peace is not a dream but a duty. The crowd cheered. Lyra turned to Kane. You showed me what strength is. You taught me how to lead. Kane smiled. You led yourself. I just reminded you who you were. She stepped closer. In that case, she said softly, stay and remind me again, every day. Kane paused, then gave a small nod. I'm not going anywhere. Final scene. That night, Lyra and Kane stood on the balcony looking over the peaceful city. The stars were bright below. The people danced in the streets. Music played. Lyra leaned against Kane's shoulder. Do you think we've earned this peace? She asked. He looked at the stars. We fought for it. We bled for it. She smiled. Then let's protect it. Together. And for the first time in a long time, the galaxy felt whole.